in terms of kind of leaning more towards the one-up arcade side of things here, and I know obviously that there's plenty that you cannot talk about because that's one-up's deal. But
Unqualified critics here, and a couple weeks ago, a video dropped from Blockade. If you're really into pinball, you want to check these guys out. They do a nice job interviewing. It's a very chill type of podcast format that they have. They occasionally interview Mel Kirk from Zen Studios, Mel Kirk being the key person at Zen Studios who worked on the Arcade1up Pinball, really the guy behind that as a project who seemingly put it all together. Here's the thing, in this interview, which I just now saw, it's very clear that Zen Studios has not walked away from Arcade1up.
do they look at something like Pinball Party and go, hey, can we get that in a cabinet form? And I'm talking about more of that socialized play of pinball.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, we look at having an Arcade1up machine in somebody's home is a huge opportunity. First of all, people trusted us to invest so much money in something. Two, look, there's 10 games on it right now, but there's a lot of other games that could be on that machine and a lot of other things that they could do with that machine. I'd like to continue to increase the value of the machine and keep people connected to it and let them experience all the fun game modes and social features and multiplayer action that we're developing right now. So of course they ask us, hey, when can we, bring this over to the platform? And, there's going to be announcements, I think, at some point next year with A1up for new things. And it's all, whenever we find a good new feature, a piece of new content that really resonates, there's no question. All of our partners want it. So
I was going to say, I got to imagine that they're salivating at having an indie table.
yeah. Everybody is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we thought previously that Jurassic Park would be a natural next machine, and put Universal titles, but just having, obviously, since Stern has two different Jurassic Park machines, it would be a natural kind of like, ooh, that'd be cool to have in the house.
Mel mentions you can expect an announcement from Arcade1up some point next year, being 2022. Because remember, this was back at late December 21 when this guy said this. So I asked Jerry from ThinkUp Design Studio, who handles the design on the cabinets, including the wonderful Arcade1up pinball design, one of my favorites that Arcade1up has ever done.
I can tell you a little story about the pinball. I love the pinball. Actually, again, we designed the machines here, but we also designed the machines with another guy within Tastemakers, who happened to be, by the way, a pinball collector. So he actually was core 100%, knew his machines, knew the classic titles. He was really into it. Matter of fact, he'd fix them and make them. So when we were designing the machine, I can tell you that he had a lot of input, if not the most influence on the shape, the design. Even if you look at the legs and how they bend out and they flare out slightly like a real pinball game, and the angle that they were, all these were very, matter of fact, the setting down of the screen and with those little side panels, just to set the screen down into, so you're looking through the glass and sort of looking at it a little bit lower. We mocked these things up, and we actually, it's starting to look pretty good.
And he said, no, this is a continuing project. And then now you have Mel from Zen Studios from the other side saying the same thing. So, I mean, seems extremely solid. We are going to be getting an Arcade1up pinball. We may be getting an Indiana Jones table. Apparently Zen recently got the rights to that, or that may be coming to Arcade1up. But just as important as new titles is new functionality. And if you listen to what Mel says, it just couldn't be clearer. We have 10 games on each Arcade1up pinball now, but there could be more games and there could be more things it could do, and we want to increase the value. So Mel has really strong opinions on where he wants to take this. It's not just Arcade1up in a vacuum. Zen Studios themselves also have a vision for the Arcade1up pinball, which I think is beautiful. It shows that both sides are really invested in this being long-term successful. They recognize that it's a pricey product. Again, not pricey for virtual pinball. Those can cost many thousands if you build a high quality one yourself. But we're not comparing it to that. We're comparing it to your average consumer spending some money to play Pinball FX. this is one of the more expensive ways to play it. So Zen seems to take that seriously, and they want to add the value. And he uses very specific language here. We want to keep people connected who are using the Arcade1up Pinball, let them experience multiplayer and all the other connected good stuff that Zen is working on now. So they're moving toward a very social product, I think, in their core software product, the platform of Pinball FX. I'm not up to speed on the latest. It's not really something I'm super interested in, but I am very interested in bringing connectivity to the physical Arcade1up table. I mean, they're going to have something really cool in their hands if they can nail the social element, if they can add more games. You know, what does that mean? Does that mean 20 tables instead of 10 out of the box? Does that mean DLC to be able to buy more tables? I don't know. Does that mean connect it to your Zen FX account and use the tables you already bought? Who knows? None of those details have been shared, but what is crystal clear is that we are getting another Arcade1up Pinball. And remember, and we need to hold them to it as a community. John D said a year or two ago, if we do version 2 of Arcade1up Pinball, we will have an upgrade kit for version 1. Let's make sure that happens, because it sounds like version 2 is going to be really awesome. Will we get Indiana Jones? Will we get other artwork? Probably we'll get something. I doubt they're going to release the same 3 table designs with just the new tech. I'm expecting them to release new tables, because that's how Arcade1up likes to operate, and Zen has a huge library to pick from. So guys, I think this is really exciting news. The Blockade is a good listen if you want to check it out. They don't spend a lot of time talking about Arcade1up, but if you want to know more about where Zen is, if you're just curious about virtual pinball in general, check them out. I'll put a link below. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed if you want the latest in news and reviews on home arcade, and I'll talk to you soon.